Hello, everybody, and welcome to GRLCS Diamond Division Semifinals Round 1, where we're going to be watching Gecko Slammer Armageddon go up against Unlucky Ascension. I am Jack Loves Lamp Counts, and with me is Aaron Meristematic Dilsever, or Saver. How do you actually like to pronounce your last name? I've said it both ways.
It's just Dilsaver. It's phonetic for some reason. I don't know.
No worries. I mean, my last name is Counts. I don't. It's all good. Well, we're gonna get right into this. We already see the first two bans coming out for both of these teams. Ezreal gonna be targeting at Tien Sama, as well as Yorick, and then Xayah gonna come out, and Vladimir on the side of Unlucky Ascension.
Yeah, the Pantheon ban's actually kind of weird on blue side. That just means the GSM doesn't want to play it at all. Which, if you think like Worlds, it's just the most contested pick right now. So
right.
Kind of curious about that one, but all these other ones are pretty much like targeted bans.
Yeah, definitely looks like UA's trying to keep Rito Torchic off of the Caitlyn, off of the Xayah. Xayah Rakan has been pretty deadly for Rito Torchic and Hamana this split. And he's also had some pretty good synergy with Hamana, using those Caitlyn traps really well. And so gonna get rid of both of those, and then yeah, trying to keep Vici off that Vladimir. Like you said, these are all just targeted bans.
Yeah, they left open the Kaisa Nautilus then, which makes me think that they either have something in mind for that, or they're planning on taking Nautilus with their AD carry.
Yeah, they're gonna be locking in Lucian, relatively aggressive AD carry, much burstier, quicker trades in lane. But what support is going to go with it, because that can definitely decide a lot of the pacing. Going to be picking their jungler for now. They had Jarvan in game 2 of their quarterfinal match last night, and it did pretty well. He went Olaf the game before, and I think he was maybe a little more impactful in that game. It's hard to say, right? But there were a lot of immobile champions on the enemy team, so the Jarvan ult was pretty helpful in team fights.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting tunneling so hard on the Jarvan just because that's not a champion that Yeetloaf has played.
Hmm.
This split he played it once in a loss to ROTM back in the first rotation, but other than that, like you're giving away the Gragas, which is something that he has played a lot of, plus the Kai'Sa Nautilus combo,
Hmm.
and it just feels like GSM's getting exactly what they want out of this draft.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see if UA is building a counter composition or if they're
Sacred Strike.
falling a little bit into that trap.
Yeah, Sacred Strike is a good Poppy player, if memory serves. So might be picking that to try to help deal with Gragas Nautilus a little bit. Little bit of peel for your own backline while Jarvan serves as the engage. Gragas's ultimate can be some good disengage, but I feel like Yeetloaf throughout has used it mostly as an engage tool, which it can be both, right? I think he just usually prioritizes it for engage. LeBlanc going to come out as a ban aimed at, I can only assume, Inox.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see General Vici pull out the top lane LeBlanc this game. Probably not into Poppy either. That doesn't sound super
Yeah,
fun.
that does not sound super fun at all. He is a good LeBlanc player, especially when he's picked it. I feel like we've seen him struggle in lane, but then come late game, very skilled at like popping over random walls to pick people off before they can react quickly enough. So they're gonna ban that one away. Although I do think Poppy, like you just said, fares pretty well against LeBlanc. Not only does bumping into a Poppy steadfast presence end your dash and prevent the damage altogether, but it grounds you briefly, meaning you can't blink back. So
Yeah, I do have a small thought for you. It
mhm.
could be Poppy's support for DC Decay. It
Ooh,
blocks the Kai'Sa ult and it blocks the second part of the Nautilus hook.
that
I don't know
is.
if that's like
Mhm.
in the plans, but that might not be a terrible counter pick.
No, I actually I agree with you. Yeah, they rely on some dashes to get their engage going. They don't seem to think it's that way. Yeah, and like DCDK, he could pick it. I know Sacred Strike is really good on it, but it can be a flex. They will ban Leona just in case. DCDK picked that in their second quarterfinal game last night. I have to say, I don't think it was as effective as when he was playing. Oh my god, what did he play in the first game? My mind's blanking, but he did a great job in the first game on whatever he was playing, and didn't fare quite as well on the Leona, but did solidly. Galio's going to be coming out. That could be a lot of things, honestly.
It's likely mid lane. I haven't seen it anywhere else recently. I'm a little worried they're building a pretty low damage composition unless they grab some damage from their support or possibly top laner, I guess. Oh, there's the Kale. Yeah.
Kale getting locked in. Probably top. Could be for Inox. We'll have to see what their last pick of the draft is to know for sure.
Yeah, Vici has one game on it. I don't think that Inox has a game on it yet this split.
Yeah,
So
and it's a little more
uh,
common as a top lane pick, but it can definitely go mid, and that's a rise, which makes me think, yeah, Kale probably going top.
yeah, now we'll find out if this was the big IQ draft with the Poppy support or what we're gonna get out here in this last pick.
Yeah, and once you see that Poppy, you know you feel a lot less inclined to pick champions with dashes, and they both decide to go Kale and Rise, which no dashes, right? So no chance that you could get screwed over by Poppy, and you've got a lot of movement speed to help you, stay away. But that does make you more susceptible to Jarvan with his ultimate. Any champion without a dash is getting trapped in there.
Yeah,
And
there's
he did a good
Sacred
job of
Strike's
it.
Karma Top. Woo! I got
Sacred
the
Strike.
flex pick right.
You got the flex pick right. Yes, Poppy is a champion that Sacred Strike is known to perform well on, but he's going with the Karma top once again. He played it both games last night, and with Kale getting picked in the top lane, picking Poppy into that, you were just handing over gold with because of Klepto. Oof, excuse me. Just handing over gold because of Kleptomancy. And you don't want that, so they're going to pick Karma, something a little more ranged, something that can trade a little better and avoid getting chased down and killed by the Kale.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. It's a huge synergistic combo on the side of GSM. You have the Kale Kai'Sa combo, you have the Kai'Sa Nautilus, you have all of these really popular professional picks that we've seen exactly what they bring to the table. And on the other side, you've got like low amounts of damage on everybody. You've got kind of protection for your Lucian. It it's like they tried to big brain so hard in the draft with that Poppy support pick that maybe they didn't fill out the rest of their roster
Hmm.
as much as they could have.
Yeah, the Karma Top thing definitely feels more utility oriented. Jarvan can go damage, but if you don't have some backup, which he does have the Galio ult, to pair with himself, but if you don't have enough backup and you go damage Jarvan, you can just get nuked after jumping in. And Lucian, not exactly a late game AD carry, can definitely put out some damage at all stages in the game, but that short range and being limited to just one short range dash every few seconds isn't quite enough to peel off the stickier of targets, like Nautilus.
Yeah, it so just objectively, I really like GSM's draft,
Hmm.
but this is also a very UA draft. You're centering everything on Tien Sama. He's going to have to output the damage. You've got some protection for him. If he can get into a spot where he's just the strongest man in the game, coming into like mid game, like even like early late game, you can still see a UA take fights and win as long as they're playing around their Lucian really well.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but
yeah, like you're saying, he does put out good damage at all stages of the game. It just becomes harder late in the game because he's not quite as long ranged or mobile as some other carries.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it's way easier to execute everything that GSM is doing,
Hmm.
and that's usually what winds up working in these get wrecked games. Is hey, we've got easier buttons to hit. We just hit them all and we kill people.
I mean, it definitely does. Like you see what they do in the professional scene, but people, tend to forget or take it for granted that some of those things they do in professional games take an exceptional amount of coordination and practice to pull off, which can make it a little bit tough to do if you haven't been, practicing that exact comp or that combo yourself. In the weeks leading up to that game, which oftentimes the GRLCS teams may not do, or may practice some of them, but not all of them. So, yeah, I have to agree with you. Going with the simple plan is often the good plan.
Yeah, and I did want to give a quick shout out. Just we're running 2 streams all day, so
Woo!
if you're interested in watching the Platinum game, should be starting soon. It'll be the Sensei Squad versus Resonant Nostalgia. That's on Get Wrecked 2.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and then we'll be flipping through some games throughout the day. So check out the announcements, or I think we'll verbally say it on stream. But
Yeah. We'll be plugging it all over the place to try to keep everybody in the know at all times. Um, but yeah, no, 10 a.m. CST and 4 p.m. and 1 p.m. I said those in a weird order. Sorry. 10 a.m., 1 p.m., 4 p.m. CST. Those will be the starting times for both streams all day. Just trying to make sure that there's plenty of time in those blocks to make sure that every match can finish and players can know when to expect their own match to start. So as soon as this one's over, we'll maybe leave the stream on, maybe cut it temporarily just to rename it for the sake of VODs. I do know that you mentioned that they have markers now, so perhaps we could just do that instead. But that is beside the point. We are getting into this game.
yeah, and I think the most interesting thing that we're seeing right now, the keystone choices. Um, you've got Fleet Footwork on Kale rather than Kleptomancy.
Right, and that was probably a response to the Sacred Strike Karma pick. When it's not Poppy top, you can't just farm gold off that melee champion.
Right.
And
So
a
it's
pause.
so it's a little bit safer to go with that Fleet Footwork, but
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, I mean,
Jungler didn't load
if
in.
you're
Okay.
not going to get a substantial number of auto attacks on the enemy champion off, um, sometimes it's just not worth it to take Klepto. Its benefits are pretty minimal if you can't make use of it. It doesn't
Right.
have some second part to it that is effective late game or something.
Yeah, and the rest of the like minor runes aren't usually as effective as the minor runes in the other trees as well,
Yeah.
unless you're getting like maximum value out of your stopwatch or maximum value out of your free ass boots.
Yeah, free ass boots. Yeah, so Fleet Footwork makes sense on Kale, right? As a champion, you have most of the damage you're ever going to need loaded into your kit. And that just provides a little extra burst of movement speed and HP occasionally, which is not bad to have on a champion like that. And like you said, man, I'm excited to see if GSM can pull off some of those combos. You know, Kai'Sa Nautilus. They have CC on everybody. Kind of not Kale so much, but you know, an AoE slow that can be strong sometimes. So Kai'Sa should have plenty of targets to dash to once a fight breaks out. And we're getting into the game. So over on the blue side, we have Gecko Slammer Armageddon, General Vici in the top lane on Kale, King Yeetloaf in the jungle on Gragas, Inox in the mid lane on Ryze, and Rito Torchic and Hamana in the bot lane on Kai'Sa and Nautilus.
And really quickly on the top side of the map, wearing the red health bars, will be Unlucky Ascension, Sacred Strike playing top lane Karma, Ching Bear on the jungle Jarvan, the Otaku in mid on Galio, and Tien Sama and DC Decay playing Lucian and Poppy.
Yeah, and we're gonna see a pretty cautious 5-man here. We'll poke Inox a little bit and he'll back up. They throw that ward down, and they will be leaving. Those wards are always helpful. They will last until the enemy jungler shows up there, you know, assuming he heads there soon after his first buff. So helps you keep tabs on the enemy jungler during those early stages a little bit better, which in the games last night, especially in game 1, Sacred Strike was ganked, I don't know, 4, maybe 5 times in the first like 8 minutes of the game. And as a result died about 3 times. So trying to be a little more cautious of the jungler in this game. Sacred Strike does not want to be a Karma in the top lane without flash. Pretty squishy until you get those items.
Yeah, I've been kind of interested just watching the pings from UA. They've been pinging around that ward a lot. I don't know if they're still expecting that people are around that area, or if that's like a future, hey, we're gonna invade in this area in just a little bit. It looks like Chingbear's pinging his own camps right now, so he's gonna take red and then Krugs, which is kind of a weird little path, but it'll set him up for a potential topside gank onto Kale.
Nice hook onto Lucian at level 1. They will trade a little bit of damage on Tien Sama. Hard to trade damage back onto Hamada with that aftershock.
Yeah, and plus Rito Torchic just takes a while to stack up that passive. I know you get the extra stacks from Nautilus, but getting 5 stacks at level 1 just takes like forever. So you're not getting that huge trade on Kai'Sa.
Yeah, her Void Missile is actually a pretty great way to trade, considering it puts down so many stacks at once for her. Nautilus was only level 1 as well. Oh, another hook on Lucian. He steps around. They hit him with the Ignite and the Void Missile. He will run away. He pops. He does not pop the heal. DC Decay a little bit in trouble. DC Decay will have to flash. Tien Sama actually burns no summoners in escaping there. Watching his health bar tick away, trusting that it won't be enough to kill him. Oh no! DC Decay steps a little too close. He will take some more damage. He does! He goes down! So Nautilus put passive procs onto the Kai'Sa there, and the Void Missile detonated them.
I think that we're desynced, potentially.
Oh, we're desynced slightly? Oh no.
Yeah.
Am I behind?
I think you're a little bit behind. I'm apparently 1 second behind. You can jump it to live if you open
I will
up the thing.
jump it to live.
Okay.
Oh, Rito, why? Let's see, how do I jump it to live besides just...
Open the slider and then slide it all the way to the right. Or hit like plus and just go 2x speed for a little bit.
All right, 2x speed works. Hopefully I'm not
It
as
was like
behind
1
now.
second, but I was like, oh, I heard that, like I had that Kai'Sa missile hit like 1 second before you did it. All right.
I'm just, that's kind of funny. Maybe, honestly, it'd be interesting to see if you could use that to help your shoutcasting be better. Not you, but like general you.
Yeah, if I noticed before just giving away everything, yeah, maybe. But that situation, no, that's just kind of awkward. It feels
Yeah,
really
I
weird.
guess. All right, so Bear and Gragas gonna find each other here. I think what happens is mine may be stuttering. It's whatever. Dragon will be spawning in 45 seconds. You see GSM near it, taking Scuttle, trying to get some vision priority on it. That first Dragon will be an Infernal Drake, so we can expect that the teams will be paying close attention to it.
Yeah, and we did see UA go in for the invade and steal away the blue buff while Yeetloaf was there.
Sacred Strike has the minions here. They will target General Vici. He's going to be taking some minion damage. Going to use that heal. Getting pretty low up there. Is beating Sacred Strike and CS at the moment, though.
Yeah, but that lane pressure that Sacred Strike's putting out can't be underrated. If he starts shoving this into tower, it gets a little bit more difficult for Kale to keep up these CS numbers, and should start swinging back in his favor.
Tiansama gonna poke Hamana there a little bit, but that shield's gonna come out. Ooh, enhanced Q and Comet landing. Kale getting really poked in this lane. Sacred Strike, you can tell he kind of wants to try to get this kill, gets off another 2 autos, and I think we're gonna see Genovici back and potentially teleport back to lane, get a mana refresh, get a health bar refresh, and spend a little bit of the gold he has so far. Oh, here's Gragas for a gank with the Predator. Flash in, gets the knockup, gets stopped up, but it's not going to be enough. The damage is already done. Tiansama burns the flash, still goes down. Nice gank, nice flash Q from the Nautilus. Good job, Hamana. We see Tiansama go down and the flash come out. DCDK will get away with the help of that steadfast presence.
Yeah, so a really good gank from Yeetloaf, really nicely set up on that bottom side, and now you have Torchic sitting at 2-0, and the Kai'Sa's kind of the crux of the 2 big combos that we've been talking about. Getting him ahead, feeling comfortable, that looks really good for GSM.
Whew, he's gonna back and buy once again. Kai'Sa in this game currently ahead of the second most gold by 600 or so. At just 6 minutes already. Definitely looking good. That Nautilus Kai'Sa combo looking just as good as you made it out. Those passive procs getting applied from Nautilus really helped Kai'Sa's DPS, and Nautilus, of course, just a CC monster.
Yeah, and kind of interesting, Torchic sitting at 2-0 has opted just to go for double pickaxe, so he's rushing more for that Q evolve rather than hitting the tier up and going for a little bit slower scaling. I'm kind of interested if he changes like his overall late game build because of that, or if he'll eventually grab that tier and just make it a little bit later.
Yeah, he's got double pickaxes. Like you said, just trying to get that Q evolve, just trying to get even more missiles, even more damage. Playing pretty aggressively here in the bot lane, which it's working, so definitely putting Tiansama and DCDK behind an overall gold, but not in CS. Tiansama is still hanging on just fine in CS.
Yeah, another thing though is there is a level discrepancy between Torchic and Tiansama right now, and if they can, I mean that's not understated. That's about another, I think it's like 350 or 400 gold worth of stats every time you level up that you'll be missing.
Stats and base damages, you get quite a bit of gold worth. You're right.
So if they can keep that XP advantage, it'll be really nice for them to leverage and continue leveraging that bottom lane.
Yeah, they'll hit level 6 before Tiansama, and they can turn that into yet another aggressive play. Ignite is back up. Rita Torchic has the sums. Here in the top lane, Kale hit 6 thanks to some relatively recent changes. Oh, nice dodge away from Tiansama there. Thanks to some relatively recent changes, her auto attacks become ranged at level 6 instead of 11.
Yeah, so he's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable in this lane. It'll still be a while before he can push back against Karma in any like reasonable capacity, but should feel a little bit better about sitting under tower and farming for the time being.
Hamana will go in, will get blocked up by a steadfast presence, but thanks to King Yeetloaf's ultimate, they will be knocking DCDK back. But we see 2 teleports coming out on the side of Unlucky Ascension, and Bear is here. All 5 members of Unlucky Ascension are in the bot lane. Inox is teleported in. Can they get somebody? They will get Sacred Strike. Rito Torchic going very low, will get peeled by Hamana. Bear goes in. Flash has to get burned by Yeetloaf. Inox is going to try to put down the damage that he can. Hamana will go down. It ends up being a 1-for-1 thanks to those teleports. Oh, and yet another flash gets burned. Bear will burn that flash. He has to flash away himself, taking so much damage. Otaku getting low as well. Inox trying to throw some damage down. Blinking health bars on the side of Unlucky Ascension. Yeetloaf runs in. He gets the smite onto Otaku, but he's out of mana, and Inox can't close the gap. Tons of flashes getting burned here in the bot lane. Whew.
So the biggest part of that initial setup is that Vici teleported back to lane earlier after Sacred Strike had forced him out, but Sacred Strike held on to his. So he was able to go bot lane. That made it a 4v5, or a 5v4, excuse me, in favor of Unlucky Ascension. But then Inox coming in with the Realm Warp, he had so many targets that he had the Spell Flux on, but he just couldn't hit that Q to bounce it. If he had bounced it once or twice more, that would have been just a clean sweep for Gecko Slam or Armageddon. But just the difference of a couple of pixels, and UA gets gets one kill, and they're feeling a little bit better after expending all of those resources.
Yeah. And also, even though it was a 4v5, Rito Torchic and Hamana had ultimates available, whereas Tien Sama and DCDK, like you mentioned, that experience disadvantage, they were both level 5 still. So having that ultimate advantage helped GSM a lot, and not losing that fight a lot harder, considering they were at a numbers disadvantage.
Yeah, and Torchic actually goes back. Heal buys his Man Immune, has the other pickaxe, which means that he should have his Q evolve, unless he's not quite high enough level. Double check. That has no indication. Nope, he's a 92, so he needs a couple levels before he gets it. But he's feeling pretty good. Could go buy a Doran's Blade and evolve if he really wanted to.
Eatloaf is here with Predator, trying to close the gap onto Sacred Strike. The ultimate comes out. Sacred Strike will burn his flash to get to the other side of that explosive cask. Actually, I don't know. Is that what his ultimate's called?
Yep.
Okay. What's the Q called?
It's just like barrel toss or something.
Barrel toss. That sounds about
barrel
right.
Roll. It's roll.
Barrel roll. Nice. Yeah, I mean, they're both explosive casks, so I don't know. All right, Otaku, gotta clear away a pink ward. Nobody's taken a dragon yet this game. This Infernal's been on the table for quite some time.
Yep. Now you have some ultimates coming up on the side of UA with bot lane both getting their level 6s. Otaku has the heroic entrance available, as well as Bear's Jarvan Jacuzzi is back up. So we could see a huge play right now that GSM wouldn't necessarily be able to.
And he will flash. That KLE is an execute. Once Sacred Strike got that low, didn't have flash available. It was just a quick reset auto, and that's a dead Sacred Strike. Oh, and the Infernal Drake has been started. Hamana's gonna come around the side. He's gonna get CC onto Tien Sama, peeled for by the Galio. Galio actually doesn't taunt onto anybody, I don't think. Hamana will go try to stall with that. The ultimate comes out from the Galio. DCDK will go down to Rito Torchic. Inox getting chased away. Tien Sama trying to pick up the kill. Otaku uses the E, but he gets juked. Inox still juking, running towards his team. He's gonna stay alive. He just runs a weird path and nobody's able to kill him. Inox gonna use that ultimate onto Otaku. Otaku flashes at the same time, but it won't get him away. Rito Torchic goes on a rampage. And that's 2 members of Unlucky Ascension going down for nothing. Inox just slowly walking in a weird direction, and UA, not a single one of them found themselves able to hit him with skill shots.
Yeah, and they didn't track General Vici's teleport cooldown. He was able to be there, and Sacred Strike wasn't. And that made it a 5v4 for GSM this time. And even though they were down King Eatloaf's ultimate, it didn't ultimately matter. That's a bad pun. And as a result of it, Rito Torchic getting more kills, Inox getting more kills, even Vici picking up another one for himself, and all of a sudden those 3 carries have pretty much the 3 highest gold counts in the game.
Yeah, Gragas and Nautilus each sitting on several assists, but all the kills on the targets you want them on right now. And Vici just going to start using this lead to really pressure Sacred Strike.
Yeah, he's got his Vamp Scepter now. As soon as he finishes that Gunblade, I think that's the
point of no return
point,
for Sacred
pretty
Strike.
much. Yeah. He's working on a Luden's Echo for himself, which is super annoying if he hits that Mantra Q. But the fact that Vici will have so much sustain, I think, is just that big tipping point that he won't be able to really answer or push back.
In the games last night, we saw Karma go a much tankier. Oh, Bear is here. He will get the knockup onto Hamana, followed up by a stun into the wall, and they will get a kill onto Hamana before he can do much at all. Eatloaf is here with the Predator, but now he's in a number disadvantage, and he's not going to be engaging 2v3.
Yeah, that was just a really good lane gank from Bear. They were able to set that up really nicely. Hamana and Torchic had no idea he was there, and Eatloaf just, I don't want to say he was late to the play. He was probably looking for a counter gank anyway, but just earlier setup from Bear.
Yeah, and Nautilus just went down so quickly from the full combos from Jarvan, from Poppy, and from, of course, Tien Sama. It's not a lot of time to try to close the gap.
Yeah, this mid lane's starting to really tilt though for Inox. He's shoving in. He's got a 40 CS lead on the Galio now, which at this point means that your Ryze has already pretty much outscaled the Galio.
Sacred Strike, if he tries to get aggressive, finds himself in a very sticky situation. Bear and Vici now going up against each other. Sacred Strike just waiting in the wings. Knock up onto Vici. Vici gonna start channeling that ultimate. Bear gonna back up to not take the damage. Ultimate comes out. A flash not available. Can they get the kill? They do! King Bear starts to go very low. The Q from Karma goes wide, and he will pick up the kill anyway. That missed Karma Q almost cost him his life. The first tower goes down. Q onto Poppy. The CC will land. Can they make something happen here? The ultimate comes out from both of them, and they're going to be getting away. Here's the teleport onto the standard from Galio, and Bear, Sacred Strike, and Otaku will get that kill onto Inox, who ran up to the top lane. Flash in from Yeetloaf, gets the knockback onto Tiansama. In comes Rito Torchic. He goes unstoppable. DCDK goes low. Yeetloaf and Hamana start to walk away, and Torchic gets yet another kill. 6-0-1 on this Kai'Sa.
So this is a mess, but it's a mess that I think ultimately favors GSM. They're still continuing to attack this bottom lane. Tiansama and DCDK playing Gray Screen Simulator this game, and Torchic 6-0-1 on this Kai'Sa. We talked about in the open how the win condition was going to have to be getting Tiansama ahead and into a comfortable position. He's not comfortable at all in this game. He's been under attack pretty consistently from Yeetloaf and from Torchic and Hamana, and it feels like they're making good plays, or Unlucky Ascension. They're able to get the couple of kills top lane. They use another teleport from Otaku to secure a kill onto Inox after he tried to go in. They get a tower, but is it ultimately enough to stop the scaling of GSM?
Whew. All right, so looking at a 4.5k gold lead for GSM at just 16 minutes. Things looking really good for them. Both teams with one tower. Otaku going to come around, but that blue buff's going to get pulled away. No chance for a steal there. And also that Infernal Drake is huge. I feel like it's especially helpful on this like hybrid scaling champion. You get a nice boost to both your AP and your AD.
Yeah, and they've got two of them as
and
well.
They've got two hybrid scaling
Kale.
champions, yeah. Nautilus gonna miss that Q. They're just looking probably to get try to get this mid tower and get this Rift Herald. There are multiple objectives up here for them. They're just gonna send Kale down to the bot lane to defend that tower and start to push out and farm. Teleport will be available soon. Q hits Tiansama. The DCDK steadfast presence is late. Galio ult is here though. They're starting to deal a lot of damage. Flash from Hamana. He will still go down. We see Rito Torchic ultimate into the backline, gets one kill, flashes over the wall. Bear going to flash over the wall to follow him. They're going to trade. Yeetloaf going very low. Otaku going to throw out a Q. Nice juke to the side. He gets behind Inox. Inox trying to get the kill on DCDK, who will flash away. Inox does not have flash available. Sacred Strike is here. Going to put some damage down. Right now, GSM is behind enemy lines. They are in the midst of the enemy jungle. However, DCDK and Otaku are very low. Sacred Strike not confident in fighting them. This has all been a 4v5, however, and currently General Vici in the bot lane shoving down another tower.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a 4v5. General Vici's teleport just came up like 1 second ago, so he wasn't able to join that in any reasonable capacity. He gets the tower for himself, and it was a 2-for-2 trade. The biggest thing, Torchic flashing over the red buff wall. Jarvan flashes after him, but the extra missiles from the Q after Kai'Sa had died were able to take down Jarvan and trade out that extra kill. And that was the big deciding factor in that one. It is the first kill, or the first death for Rito Torchic though, so a lot of gold into Bear's pocket.
Yeah, and Bear currently sitting at getting close to 8,000 gold. The only person who has more gold than Bear right now is that same Kai'Sa, who's about 1,000 gold up on him. So right now he's their hope for killing Rito Torchic.
Yeah, shout out to Yeetloaf Agent 007 there in the jungle.
Agent 007. Yeah, he's had a very good game so far. All the kills have gone over to his carries, and he's assisted in 7 of the 11 kills so far. Doing a good job of being a ganker and a kill facilitator. Even though he's going that AP, that damage doesn't mean that he's trying to take all the kills.
Yeah, and this feels kind of familiar, the setup around mid lane. Bear.
Engage. He will be ulting onto Rito Torchic, who ults to get back out. Steadfast presence late once again, not able to stop Rito Torchic from escaping. DCK almost goes down. He's going to have to back away. Tiansama is here. Looks like everyone's going to disengage. Hamana going to be the only one to die in that sequence of events. These steadfast presence from DCDK have just been a little bit late. He walks too close, gets rooted up by Inox, ulted in by the explosive cast, and DCDK will go down. It's just
that was
hand it over kill for Vision.
Yeah, this was a really good trade for Unlucky Ascension. They got out both teleports in exchange for that one pick. Or, not even in exchange. They got the one pick, they got the 2 teleports out. But then just the little overextension from DCDK means that they can't contest this dragon that comes up after. And GSM starting to trade back a little bit more favorably on that one.
Yeah. Kaisa has that Gwynsu's, has had it for a hot minute, and it has the Stinger to build into that Nashor's. Once finishing that Nashor's, I believe that's going to be all upgrades complete.
Yeah, I think that's how the math works. I haven't played Kaisa
The attack speed one is always the one that I get
Yeah.
lost on. But
that one you usually need a couple of levels. I think it's like Nashor's Rageblade in like level 13, I want to say. I don't remember 100%. But
gotcha. Well,
I'll go with
close
that.
to that one.
yeah.
All right, so Baron now on the table. We're at that 20-minute mark, and DCDK is going to come up here and try to get some vision surrounding it. I think he's had a little bit of a hard time getting into position when, like, to where the steadfast presence will be needed, right? Like, he knows what it is needed for, but he hasn't been standing in exactly the right place when it's been needed. Maybe that's on GSM, maybe that's on him, maybe it's both. But Poppy having a hard time using that steadfast presence effectively so far this game.
Yeah, it's harder to use when you're not the direct target. What we want to see is Torchic flying into the backline with him on that. But if DCDK is not standing directly on top of whatever target they're picking, it's harder for him to use that effectively. And even if you do, it doesn't knock off the Nautilus. It grounds him, it stops him from getting into complete melee range, but it doesn't necessarily stop the rest of his combo.
What they really need to do is burn Rito Torchic's flash, and then DCDK needs to be there with Bear when Bear ults Rito Torchic, so that way he can steadfast presence to prevent an ultimate, to give them a window to actually kill Rito Torchic. 'Cause even when Bear goes in with that ultimate, even if flash is down, that ultimate's available, and just immediately hops right out of the Cataclysm, gets a fat shield, and they're back where they started. Bear honestly ends up being the one trapped in the Cataclysm, eating autos from the Kaisa.
Yeah, and this is the setup that you want to see with this GSM comp. They don't have teleports up, but you can sit Ryze and you can sit Kale in different side lanes. Play a really easy to execute 1-3-1 because all of your members have disengage in that 3. Kind of sacrificing the Rift Herald, unfortunately, here. But
yeah, Rift Herald timer probably about to run out.
But the rest of this looks really nicely set up from GSM. They should get this top tower on this next push, and then it'll be a matter of trying to crack some of these inner turrets.
Yeah, Herald comes up to the mid lane. They will not be pushing with it. It will get to poke the tower and then get popped. Otaku moved away from top side for a moment, and Vici was able to get it. It was pretty low on HP, so another tower goes down. That's 4 towers to 1 in favor of GSM, and their gold lead grows larger, currently sitting at about a 6k gold lead.
Yeah, and now it'll be interesting to see how GSM wants to set up. Their teleports are about 2/3 of the way up. Sacred Strike and Otaku have theirs available. This should be the time where UA can try to put pressure. You could even send like you could do a really weird setup. You could do 2-3 and just try to shove in one of these side laners from GSM and be able to still respond with your teleports.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take something like weird and creative, I think, for UA to really get back, unless they just steal a Baron or, something.
Alright, Baron on the table, both teams fighting for vision around it. Dragon will spawn in 1 minute. It will be an Infernal Drake, so definitely trying to put some priority on that on the side of GSM. They've already got the 1. They've got several carries. And honestly, Gragas is going AP as well, so even Gragas benefits from having more Infernal Drakes.
Yes,
So I think we'll definitely
Nautilus.
see him try to get it.
Yeah, it's just Nautilus, like, guys, I want a dragon too.
More Cloud Drakes, come on, please. Let me run at them. But we're going to see, actually, GSM really pressing into the jungle on the bot side here. They've taken several towers, so they kind of have their run of the place.
Yeah, and Vici has a good strong push in that bottom side. We see Inox kind of hovering around top side. He doesn't want to push in too far because their vision isn't as deeply set up on that side of the map, but he'll get there as well. And this is really difficult for UA to make a correct play.
They're trying to fight back against all this vision, but they honestly just don't have the ability to move into the jungle, except for when the enemy team moves away for another objective. Infernal Drake gets picked up. As a result, they will try to reclaim some of the vision around this Baron, but unless they can fight for it, they're just going to lose it again, and then Baron will be on the table for GSM.
Yeah, that's the hard part. You always talk about League of Legends as a game of like trading objectives or trading pressure. And if you're trading Infernal Dragon for temporary vision control around Baron, that's
not going to get anything done. Yeah, because see, they have to back away. They show back up, and they just start getting vision control around Baron once again. If you can't defend the vision, you know, it's a little bit of a waste of gold for those pinch boards. It does help them clear out some vision, but immediately just getting plopped back down. Inox moving into the top side, going to clear away some minions, has that Realm Warp available to blink down to Baron if needed. Vici has back and purchase. Looking pretty good on those items right now. Also has teleport available. Hamana, Heatloaf, and Rito Torchic, they are going for the Baron buff. It will get spotted out. Here come a couple members. Otaku has backed. I don't know if he's in range to use the ultimate. He will be teleporting, so is Sacred Strike. 2 teleports coming in. Heatloaf going
so
low. It's going so low. The Baron is starting to get low as well. Who's going to get it? Red team steals the Baron! And now they're getting knocked up. They might die for the steal, but they get the steal nonetheless. Otaku will flash out. He's alive. 2 members of Unlucky Ascension go down, but they get into the Baron pit and they steal the Baron. Yeetloaf just went so low, tanking the Baron. He had to back away. He couldn't stick around. 2 teleports come in. It's a 5v5 at Baron. Unlucky Ascension prioritizes the Baron buff and gets it, but they lose 2 members. We're going to have to see GSM try to capitalize on those death timers to really press in for this inhib here.
Yeah, and GSM, they had the call to back out. They backed out as a team. Unfortunately, the Baron was already down to 2k health, so that was enough that Jarvan and Galio could burst it down. Yeetloaf tried to counter-steal with his own barrel and smite, but he wasn't quite in range of that, and as a result, yeah, you'll have 3 Baron buffs available for Unlucky Ascension. They lose another tower in mid lane, but this has to be their time. This is a pause timer on the game. They need to set up some scaling. They need to set up some pressure and get some objectives back now and try to climb back in.
Yeah, even after that Baron buff, there's still 7,000 gold and 2 Infernal Drakes behind. As Twitch chat pointed out, 2 of the tankier targets on Unlucky Ascension both went Adaptive Helm, which is incredibly effective. That will reduce Kai'Sa passive damage. That will reduce most of the damage that both Kayle and Ryze want to do as well. So very effective item selections. And with 2 AP carries in the form of Kayle and Ryze, and a kind of hybrid damage carry a little bit in the form of Kai'Sa, they're building a lot of MR right now.
Yeah, and if they can continue to stack that, you even have the Locket on DC Decay, so he can give that shield across to everybody else. If they can scale up to a point where they get tanky enough to survive that initial burst, they'll be in an okay spot to try and have some team fights. I still worry about their overall damage as a result, but
I'm with you.
It's at least an opportunity, and that's all that you need sometimes.
Yeah, and building those adaptive helms might be super effective defensively, but also not helping this Galio one-shot anybody squishy anytime soon.
Yeah, it's just, how do you even kill this Kai'Sa? With the Kayle ult, with the shield that she'll get from her R, has Azanya's Hourglass now. Even if you're tanky enough, it doesn't matter if you don't eventually reduce her health bar to 0.
Yeah. Hamana burns that flash there on the backside. Sacred Strike flashing away to not get grabbed by that Nautilus anchor. Vici up here, Baron buff on the enemy minions, but just free autoing this tower up here. Gets a tower, that's 6 towers to 1, and we're getting ever closer to a 10k gold lead for GSM. They won that.
You've got Otaku
they won
in
that
the bottom
trade,
lane
but
trying
can
to
they
answer
do
Inox. Sorry.
No, sorry, that was my bad too. They won that trade at Baron, but can they do anything with it? It kind of seems like maybe not.
Yeah, and Inox has been just slowly pushing away in this bottom lane. They've had Otaku down to answer, but doesn't. Oh my god.
Sacred Strike getting way poked out. Bear trying to make something happen onto Vici. In comes Poppy to get the stun, and the shutdown goes over. They are able to kill General Vici. Sacred Strike very low, however. Nice hook from Hamana. The flag and drag will get him away. Otaku down here, pretty tanky against this Rise, but still needs to clear out these minions to keep him away. Keep this tower alive. In the mid lane, Rito Torture, Kamada, and Eatloaf take a tower, get that inhibitor to half. They start backing away though. Vici is still dead, and all 5 members of the enemy team are alive. They get that bottom tower as well. And it looks like Realm War from Rise is going to come out. They're going to sprint to this Cloud Drake and get their second Cloud Drake of the game. Great combat Drakes this game for GSM so far.
Yeah, and they're feeling very comfortable now. They weren't able to crack any of those inhibitors, but getting the towers down means that you can push back, and they were doing that push against an enemy Baron buff, so this only gets worse and worse as the game goes on, and we're going to have to see just that really magical team fight from Unlucky Ascension, or else it's going to be lights out in game number 1.
Yeah, they need just an absolutely perfect Jarvan Galio engage combo. They need Steadfast Presence to block a few important things. They need Sacred Strike to put out some damage. They need Tien Sama to survive. It's going to be a tough fight for them to win. You know, it's that kind of thing where theoretically anything is, you know, possible. GSM could play a fight poorly, and UA could play a fight masterfully, but the advantage is definitely to GSM right now. It's their game to throw.
Yeah, and even with this dragon advantage, our next dragon is going to be Elder. If you don't close it out with this Baron for some reason, if you're GSM, you can go grab an Elder. You've got a 4-stack buff. Like, you have just so many extra win conditions over your opponent right now.
Oh, yeah.
That even if you misplay at one objective, there's still 2 or 3 more that you can grab and still be fine.
Unlucky Ascension needs a miracle fight, another Baron steal, or just simply to stall until all the gold is equal. But even then, can you match the hyper carry that is Kayle?
Right. Even if you're on even gold, I think that the scaling from Kai'Sa and Kayle means that and Rise for that matter, means that you're still at a significant disadvantage, even if you pull that all the way back. And it's kind of the hole that they drafted themselves into. And
Q will land onto Otaku. They decide not to go for the fight. However, Vici is putting pressure on the bot side. They need to wait a little bit longer for him to be pressuring that inhib before they go anything big here.
Yeah, he didn't have his teleport up. It's like still just a sliver on that one. As soon as Vici's teleport up, I think that they take that fight. But they don't want to have this turned into a 5v4 and have one of those fights.
Starting to pressure this inhibitor here. Aw, accidentally hits the wall a little bit there. Not going to get an engage off. Bear flashes in. He's going for Rito Torchic. He ults onto 2. Inox going to flash out. Bear going very low. He will go down. The Zhonya's comes out from Galio. They're about to burn. No, Zhonya's and ultimate and GA. Rito Torchic very hard to kill. Poppy going to ult him away. Can this provide them the window they need? Tien Sama goes down. So does another member. Realm War coming out. Otaku is low. They're going to jump into a dash, but Vici will be on the far side. He will not get in there. Flash in. The quadra kill goes over to the hyper carry General Vici, and that's gonna be the game. That's gonna be the ace. We're gonna see GSM take game 1 at 33 minutes.
And that fight, they played so well around the Kai'Sa and around the Rise cooldowns, but they forgot about General Vici. He was alone, just wailing on the back end of that fight at full health, and the stopwatch from Meatloaf bought enough time, or the Zhonya's from Meatloaf, the Zhonya's from Rito Torchic, they just bought enough time that Vici could get powered up. He was wailing on people at the end of that fight for the quadra kill.
Unlucky Ascension played the fight as well as they could have, but stopwatches, Seraph Shield, Kayle Ultimate, Guardian Angel, they have so many stall tools that their gold lead would eventually just win out no matter how, you know, well or poorly they played the fight. They played it well too. There's just too many threats on GSM for Unlucky Ascension to deal with there. Like you said, you know, they played really well around Kai'Sa and Rise, but then Kayle's left unchecked to just start murdering everybody on the backside. Ends up getting a quadra kill. So that's game 1. We'll be back soon with game 2 of the same series, so don't go anywhere. Thanks for watching. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Once again, I'm Jack Loves Lamp Counts, and with me is Aaron Meristematic Dillsaver. And the first ban of this draft is going to be Vladimir. I actually need to swap who's on which side here, so I will do that really quickly. You want to recap game 1, Meristematic?
Game 1, we saw GSM pick a triple scaling composition and get ahead early game with it and just kind of suffocate UA from the draft onwards. UA, it'll be interesting to see if they can find an answer for that scaling or if they play a little bit better around their early draft. I like that they picked blue side because that means that they might have the opportunity to pick either the Kaisa or the Xayah, or we'll see if GSM force them into a weird decision around those AD carries.
Yeah, GSM already starting off with their first ban being 2 bans aimed at Tien Sama. If Unlucky Ascension is going to get the first pick, they're going to ban away every AD carry they possibly can that he is skilled with. I'm not sure what they'll go with here, whether it be, maybe Caitlyn or Kaisa, but we'll see. If they ban away enough AD carries, Tien Sama might not even pick first.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. Also, they threw 2 bans at General Vici. Traditionally, that would put him on Cho'Gath, which isn't.
If he's just playing
that big
down
hyper
the
scaling.
line.
Yeah, either Cho'Gath or Yorick are his 2 other picks.
So they banned Kaisa and Caitlyn going to get immediately locked in for Tien Sama.
I actually really like the Caitlyn. I think it's a huge spend on your first pick to pick Caitlyn, but of the 80 carries left, Caitlyn should be able to bully pretty much all of them, and the Kog'Maw is an interesting answer.
All right, yeah, they're going to end up picking the Kog'Maw as their answer. Tien Sama, a deadly AD carry on a number of champions. With Unlucky Ascension on blue side, they just ban out 3 AD carries. Caitlyn gets picked, and now none of those AD carries are options for GSM either. They will end up going for the Kog'Maw Lulu bot lane, which is interesting. We have seen Rito Torchic and Hamada play this before, and they have done surprisingly well on it in the earlier stages of the game. But this time around, we're going to have DCDK on an aggressive pick like Leona, and Tien Sama on one of his favorite picks in Caitlyn. So we're going to see if this bottom lane goes any differently. But both sides definitely have some potential to get some kills on the other.
Yeah, ultimately, I like this change up from Unlucky Ascension, and even being able to pick up the Leona and the Pantheon that were both banned last game.
Yeah.
Feels like they're getting more of the picks that they want to play and not playing as much into GSM's draft.
Yeah.
But we'll see where GSM wants to go here with their last pick of this first rotation.
All right. Twitch being hovered at the moment. Gonna be switching that to Zac, quite possibly a Zac jungle pick. Nope, gonna swap it to Cho'Gath, and that's definitely going over to General Vici as you predicted. Vladimir and Kale banned. Cho'Gath is the next down the list.
Yeah, Cho'Gath is kind of a risky pick in this situation. It's possibly into Pantheon, and Pantheon beats him up pretty hard early. They're actually not thinking that it's Pantheon top, though, because that's the Kale from Sacred Strike or the Karma from Sacred Strike. So yeah, this is actually just a really interesting draft. I don't know if GSM's misreading the positions again, or if that Pantheon is actually like mid for the Otaku or jungle for Bear.
Yeah, definitely a flex pick. They don't want to see the Karma come out, though, so they will be banning that. Karma was picked by Sacred Strike in both of the quarterfinal matches or games he played in, as well as his first game of semifinals. So just banning that, just trying to take him off a comfort pick. Honestly, I feel like that could even be a mistake. I feel like I've seen Sacred Strike do better on other champions, though he seems to prefer Karma. So, I mean, maybe it could be like helping him out by banning the Karma, but maybe I'm wrong. We're going to see Sejuani and Gragas come out targeting those at Yeetloaf. Zac will get locked in. Pretty good jungler. Yeetloaf's done well on it in the past.
Yeah, Zac feels like kind of a risky pick though. If you pick Zac, you're basically saying I don't really want to play until like level 4, level 5. So if you pick an aggressive jungler, which is not Rammus, but if you pick an aggressive jungler into it, you can really punish Zac in his own jungle.
Which is not Rammus. We'll see what they lock in.
That's yeah.
Looks like they might be considering the aggressive jungler, and they will lock in Elise. They will be seemingly playing aggressively with Gangston invades, trying to get Zac before he hits that mid game.
Yeah, and we even saw them early on in the first game. They were able to invade, take away a blue buff. If they can continue that pressure in the jungle, they can really set Zac behind and start to mess up some of these engages and timings, get that early game lead. Is that a Nocturne? No,
Honestly, I can't tell.
I haven't seen Elise in a solo lane in many years. So I'm going to guess it's Nocturne mid with Pantheon top. But
Yeah.
this is the same game that GSM's playing right now. They're trying to pick a mid laner for Inox, but what is he facing?
Is he playing against Pantheon? Is he playing against Nocturne? Is he playing against the even stranger Elise? They're just going to go for the LeBlanc and try to play it safe. Something that Inox is good at. It looks like it might be Nocturne in the top lane.
So Nocturne into Cho'Gath feels honestly like not too bad of a matchup for Nocturne. You can spell shield the Rupture or the Feral Scream if you're like really good at finding that animation. Um, but yeah, they have just this huge dive comp that they can execute in mid-game. Once they hit level 6, you can click Pantheon ult and Nocturne ult on somebody. You can just blow up this Kog'Maw. They have a lot of tools around Kog'Maw to help, but he's still a relatively squishy character, and if you get 3 people on him, he's probably dead anyway.
I love Nocturne for well, I don't know what the term would be, right? But I feel like the GRLCS tournament, right? Like obviously not quite as people. It's casual. It's a rec league, right? So people not going to be quite as practiced up and coordinated as with professional League of Legends. I think Nocturne is a fantastic pick for like amateur organized play. If you can use if your team is like familiar with the Nocturnal and you can use that Nocturnal well, that can be such a huge advantage against enemy teams, especially ones that aren't well practiced against the Nocturne.
Yeah, and it'll be difficult. He's got teleport himself, so he can show up and ult and prevent Vici from teleporting to match, and just set up so much pressure that way. Plus, Pantheon can get around the map. LeBlanc is pretty good at getting around the map, but doesn't have just that instant "I'm going to click somewhere else on the map and go there" button.
Yeah, I feel
Um,
like some of UA they don't have double teleport this game, but I feel like some of Unlucky Ascension's best plays that I've seen, especially in quarterfinals, were synchronized teleport plays to the bot lane or to objectives. So Nocturne, maybe could have facilitated that even better, right, by preventing enemy teleports. But Pantheon not going for teleport. However, like you mentioned, he still has his semi-global ult. So they might be able to use that to their advantage, keep Vici from showing up, like you mentioned. Zac and Cho'Gath, they can peel somewhat, but they're not like the best peelers in the world. They're not like Nautilus or Gragas at peel. So we'll have to see just how well they can keep people off of Kog'Maw. We'll have to see just how well they can also lock down LeBlanc as well. Pantheon and Leona both have point click stuns. And Nocturne has a tether fear, so maybe if they can work together and coordinate a little bit, they can stop LeBlanc in her tracks.
yeah, and it's kind of interesting just how both teams are doubling down on their compositions from last game. It feels like UA picked an even more mid-game scaling composition, but now they have it at least a little bit more static
Mm-hmm.
like scaling. They have very definite objectives that they want to accomplish with their team comp, and GSM just doubling down on scaling. We're going Kog'Maw Lulu, we're going Zac, we're going Cho'Gath. The LeBlanc is kind of going to have to be that bridge. If he can prevent Pantheon from having a huge impact, maybe you get an advantage in mid lane that you can play through.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, I don't love the LeBlanc pick in this situation. You kind of have to assassinate people with LeBlanc to get full value, and your only target for that is Caitlyn, which I don't even think is necessarily
You
the
could
biggest
maybe blow up
threat.
Elise.
Yeah.
Nocturne would be a little harder with his spell shield.
Yeah, you've got the spell shield. Pantheon will probably like he gets his E plus he gets like kind of tanky with his build and um could just build like a hex drinker or a uh the item that gives you a spell shield that's not Banshee Veil, the other Edge
Uh,
of Night.
Edge of
Yeah.
Night, right. Yeah, and that would work pretty decently on the Nocturne. You can activate it before ulting in, so that way it's live, and then have 2 spell shields going in to the fight, which is always super handy, especially when Cho'Gath, only has 1 peel ability, when Lulu only has, I guess, 2 if you count the ultimate. Maybe 3 with the slow, but Nocturne is rather fast when on his trail.
And not to distract, just an update. Get Wrecked 2 is showing Resonant Nostalgia versus Sensei Squad, the Platinum semifinals. Currently, they're 35 minutes into game 1. Sensei Squad has a gold lead, but is down 7 kills, so that's a pretty interesting game. Might go check out the end and then pop back over here if you're
Yeah.
just looking to maximize your Get Wrecked viewing potential. But yeah, I'm pretty hyped for game 2. We'll see if UA can flip the script.
Yeah. All right. So over on blue side, unlucky Ascension going to be blue side this time. Sacred Strike in the top lane on Nocturne. Chingbear in the jungle on Elise. The Otaku in the mid lane on Pantheon. Tien Sama and DCDK in the bot lane on Caitlyn and Leona.
And on the top side of the map, wearing the red health bars for this game will be Gecko, Slammer, Armageddon, looking to close out the series with a win here. It'll be in the top lane, General Vici on Cho'Gath, King Yeatloaf in the jungle on Zac, Inox in mid, playing LeBlanc, and Rito Torchic and Himana playing Cog Lulu.
Yeah, and like we talked about a little bit during Champion Select, GSM definitely has the scaling comp here, but Unlucky Ascension looks like they have a comp that they're going to be much more comfortable with this time around. They are going to go for the 5-man invade. They will get spotted out. They were going to flash. Otaku flashes in and gets the stun and will force the flash away from Rito Torchic. Inox dashing in to just try to get a little bit of poke. That's probably pretty worthwhile, being able to burn the flash on Kog'Maw, setting him up for some ganks and roams early on.
Yeah, I do worry a little bit about Pantheon in lane now. Now against LeBlanc, you have the opportunity to really blow him up or maximize that damage at like level 2 and 3, and it might give a way for Yeatloaf to have an early game impact that he might not otherwise be able to on the Zac. So I'd like to keep an eye on the Pantheon timer, but on the same token, we can force something bot lane as well with Leona Caitlyn and potentially pick off Coach.
A game of trade. We kind of talked about it a little bit before. Trading flashes, and now we got to see who can capitalize on that better. Will it be GSM, will it be UA, or will everyone just handshake lane and chill and wait for their flashes to come back?
Yeah, I have to say I'm already rooting against GSM this game because Torchic picked Pugma. That skin is an amendment that is not allowed in my game. That's all.
It's kind of nightmare-inducing, but
whatever you're gonna say, no.
It's cute and nightmare-inducing. It can be both.
When I'm elected president, it'll be illegal. That's all I'm saying.
Rito Torchic trying to find some autos with that W. Lulu did get some changes somewhat recently, buffing the shield and damage on the E. And I believe it's made it a pretty effective tool to... You have options, right, when you're playing Lulu on what to max, but I believe it's made it more viable to max it now because it can be such a good trading tool, the E auto.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if that really comes into play or if DCDK can find those critical engages. And if Himana can use his polymorph super well in this lane is another thing to watch out for. If Himana's getting into polymorph range onto Tien Sama, something's probably gone a little bit wrong.
Being able to speed boost the shield to Kog'Maw, just so nice. They're doing a good job of... Oh, misses a little bit of CS, but he's still ahead. Makes it so much easier to be Kog'Maw, really mitigate some of those weaknesses. But at the moment, DCDK just kind of waiting for 3 to maybe go for an engage.
Yeah, Sacred Strike's taking some really good trades up in the top lane. We've seen him spell shield a couple of ruptures so far from General Vici. I liked the look in from Meatloaf. He was trying to see if he could find something onto Otaku before that flash came back up, but ultimately just going to grab that Scuttle Crab. But Bear's up in top lane.
Yeah. Elise is here, Bear's here, but this is pretty shoved. Will be hard to make something happen. The wave is about to crash, and Bear's going for it. Bear's probably going to tank if they go into Spider Form and dive. The stun lands, the Rupture will hit. Sacred Strike dealing a ton of damage. First Blood goes over. Really nice aggro trading between Sacred Strike and Bear there, and they're going to get a kill and also probably a plate. Dragon does spawn in 50 seconds, so we see Zach hovering it, but it's not on the table yet. And Vici will be teleporting to the top lane.
Yeah, that was a really clean dive. Like, very professional-looking dive from Bear and Sacred Strike, so really nicely done by them. It's been kind of interesting to watch. Otaku and Yeetloaf have been kind of dueling over this this bottom side jungle. Yeetloaf wanted to go in and steal some camps away, but all he's able to grab is some vision, and not really any of that gold away from the camps. So Otaku actually defending Bear's jungle. We'll see if that really comes into play at all, but it feels like a nice little win for him right now, even though he's
Sacred Strike going aggressive on Vici. He has the path down. He spell shields the Rupture. He has the attack speed boost. He got the fear as well. Vici does not have much room to survive here, and Sacred Strike will survive! He gets away with like 20 HP and gets the solo kill and burns the flash, and the teleport is down. This is the bad timeline for Vici.
Yeah, the one teleport, the one kill doesn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things. You can get dome once and be fine as a top laner. When it happens a second time, when you get 1v1, that was just a really nice use of the speed boost from the fear in order to avoid the last part of the Rupture. But yeah, Sacred Strike is super far ahead in this lane. He's got a Tiamat and 2 kills and a little bit more. He's feeling pretty good up there on that Nocturne.
Yeah. 11 CS up, that will get diminished when Cho'Gath takes this wave, but he gets everything. He also gets to save his teleport, meaning that it will be available for roams, and he's got the 2 kill advantage now. Those will be some deadly roams, and he played that so perfectly in the top lane too. Cho'Gath stepped forward after the Shadow Trail was already put down, which does still give him that speed boost and that attack damage boost. He got in, he got the fear, he spell shielded the Rupture. That also gives him a attack speed boost. Really good picks there. Flash from Bear will mean a flash from Inox to juke away from the Elise stun, so they trade those away. And we've got Yeetloaf waiting in the wings here. And his empty Raptor.
Yeah, Vici trying really hard just to exist and farm up here, and you can see he's getting shoved in and losing a little bit of CS to the tower. Doing a pretty good job, though, overall. Only down 10 CS and the 2 kills after what's been a pretty tragic early game for him. I am worried now Sacred Strike has his ultimate available, has the teleport available. I really want to see them make a play with the Pantheon and Nocturne ultimates.
Yeah. Inox, by the way, no ultimate in the mid lane. It is a little bit tough to, catch LeBlanc. She's really mobile. But without flash, it could be doable.
Yeah, and we can see Bear has just been hovering down. There's going to be this stun into another stun.
Really nice chaining of stuns. Otaku's getting low, but they will get the kill onto Inox before he's able to come out of that stun and pick up the kill onto Otaku. Otaku, in a sticky situation there, gets ignited, gets low, but they're able to turn that into yet another kill. Things looking much better for you, Unlucky Ascension this game. And I think you're right. They picked what they wanted to pick this game, whereas last game they went really reaction heavy. In the champion select, and ended up picking a comp with a bunch of counters but no damage.
Oh.
Ulting immediately onto him. He doesn't have flash available. It's a ton of damage. Sacred Strike gonna juke away from the Rupture, fears him away from the tower, goes onto a killing spree, and gets away from that tower. Things not going well for General Vici this game against the Nocturne pick of all things.
Yeah, and Sacred Strike feels unleashed. That early dive from Bear got him the advantage, and he's just been finding solo kill after solo kill now. And how many times have you played the lane of Cho'Gath versus Nocturne in order to know when your power spike is against him? I don't think Vici has too often. So it'll be interesting to see if he can dig himself out of this hole at all. There's 2 tower plates. This might be a third even before Vici gets back. Doesn't look like the third.
Yeah, Sacred Strike well ahead in CS, well ahead in plates, well ahead in kills, getting very fed. When he decides to roam, that will be a scary moment for GSM. I feel like I called it almost in Champion Select. Like, they banned Karma. Sacred Strike's going to play something else now, and honestly, that might be better. He seems to prefer Karma and picks it almost every game. It's an option. But I feel like we've seen him do so well in the past on things like Maokai, Poppy, now apparently Nocturne. He's got his handicap on by picking her every game, Karma.
Yeah, and Bear's hovering bottom. This is what we wanted to see from Elise, the early setups from her, even if they're not necessarily getting kills. He's putting pressure on, and we haven't seen Yeetloaf be able to unlock anything with the Zac yet.
The ultimate comes down, they get the stun onto Kog'Maw, they're immediately changing that into some damage from DCDK, chain it into a stun from Bear as well. They get the kill on Dorito Torchic with some really properly chained CC between those three members. Goodness gracious, Dorito Torchic goes down despite the ultimate from Hamada, doesn't even burn the heal, knows that he's going down, and they're going to be able to turn that kill into a dragon as well. Unlucky Ascension running the show here this game.
Yeah, it's a really good early game from them, and they need to continue to chain this into some good mid-game fights and pick up some objectives, but for now, Unlucky Ascension looking very dominant.
Oh, there's a ward for him to chain into. However, the tether will get broken right as he's running away there. They will clear out the ward. That's so unfortunate when Zac Qs you, and then he runs into a bush, and he's like, oh, hey, a minion for the other part of my queue. He ran out of time, but feels bad.
Yeah, and that was really the first attempted gank that we've even seen from Yeetloaf. He's hovering mid now, but
Bear is here, gets the stun onto Inox. Will Otaku go back in? Whoa, that's a ton of damage from Bear. The Ignite comes out as well, and they're going to see that LeBlanc run away. Yeetloaf going to have to flash away as well. GSM really on the back foot.
Yeah, they burned Otaku's Ignite, but they got so much for that. They got the flash from Yeetloaf. They got the Zac ultimate as well.
Oh, the stun will go down onto Kog'Maw. Teleport coming in from Sacred Strike as well. Tiansama getting really focused here. He's backing away. He will go down. The ultimate from Sacred Strike. Otaku has ult in as well. Nice flash over the wall. A failed flash in response. Or at least not as effective as Hamana's. But that speed boost is going to come out. Nice flash will get Hamana safely away. Ends up being a 1-for-1 and a lot of cooldowns burned on the side of Unlucky Ascension. Definitely could have been a lot worse for GSM.
Yeah, I'd honestly take that 1-for-1 if I was GSM. You get a kill onto the Kog'Maw. Really nice flash by Hamana to get himself out to safety, but the Kog'Maw's got a CS advantage. He's got a kill now. He's got a foothold in this game.
They will see a plate go over. Polymorph Nocturne can't spell shield. The ultimate comes out as well to keep him CC'd. They will get the kill onto Sacred Strike. Can DC Gate turn it into anything? I don't. Yes, he actually can. That's a lot of Leona damage. Hamana goes down. Now DCDK just needs to try to escape Yeetloaf, but with that chilling smite and that E, I don't know if it's possible. Well, Tiansama is here. Can he get the kill into Yeetloaf? Flash away from DCDK to avoid that Caustic. No, it's not Caustic Spittle. What are those called?
Bio-Arcane Barrage.
Bio-Arcane Barrage. What a gross champion. To avoid the Bio-Arcane Barrage from Kog'Maw there.
Yeah, and kind of interesting, the gold just going to the supports now, so you get Lulu a little bit closer to her spooky ghost, you get DCDK a little bit closer to some like defensive items, but ultimately just kind of winds up being a weird little trade in the bottom lane.
Kills the supports. Oh, that chain animation. Won't have his backstop today, though. So definitely a CS lead in favor of Inox here in the mid lane. Currently 0-1 and 0 though. Honestly hasn't really been trying to roam much, despite being LeBlanc. Not that you have to, but has been mostly sticking to the lane.
Yeah, I think it's hard just, you can't roam top lane because you don't want to give up extra kills to Nocturne. You don't really want to roam bottom side because there's not that huge setup on Kog'Maw and Lulu. So I think you need to see LeBlanc link up with Zac, and even then you're going to have to distort over a wall probably to help get in on whatever path Zac has chosen. So it's not the most effective random roaming game for him, but he's getting CS, he's going to get some items. If you can get that scaling, I think that's where you want to be anyway.
All right, Bear and DK here in the bush. Hex Flash comes out, but they will not be landing. DCDK still wants it, though. He throws down the ultimate, though it doesn't look like it's going to be able to result in much. I think it's a little bit of a wasted Leona ult. The Otaku starting to go pretty low here. That magic damage shield from his Hex Shrinker will pop up, but he will need to leave lane before getting picked off by this LeBlanc, so that might be some turret plating. He's actually deciding to stay. I don't know if it's the right call or not, but he's deciding to stay.
Yeah, I think if DC Decay hits that ultimate in bottom lane on Rito Torchic, you can still potentially follow through. Like, you can chain that into a trap from Tien Sama and probably have enough damage. But just only getting the slow means that there's no play there in bottom side. And Inox forces out the Hex Drinker cooldown, which isn't insignificant, especially because your LeBlanc ultimate will come back up. So he might have an opportunity to make a play or at least put some more pressure down here in mid.
Yeah. All right, Cho'Gath sitting here in the top lane, just trying to farm up, just trying to put put that ultimate to work, build up some stacks, get some free HP. He just is kind of, you know, these are scaling champions, so they're kind of just playing the waiting game. They haven't lost a turret yet, you know. Otaku gonna get jumped on here, gonna dodge some damage, but it definitely looks like he's gonna be going down, and that kill's gonna go over to Inox. First kill for LeBlanc for the game.
Yeah, in the meantime, though, they swapped the unlucky Ascension. They swapped Tien and DC Decay up to top side. They used DC Decay to go ahead and grab the Rift Herald for Bear. It is after the turret plates, unfortunately, so they're not going to get that maximum value out of it. But they're at least grabbing something back for that pressure.
Sacred Strike showing up bot lane. All he wanted to do was push them away from this tower, and he's going to die for it, completely underestimating the damage from Rito Torchic. Sacred Strike goes down for nothing there in the bot lane. Pops the ult as well in a kind of a panic moment. Not going to be able to turn anything. Bear comes over the wall. Stopwatch from Hamana. Going to keep him alive. Oh no, he goes into that. Here comes Pantheon ult. He's all alone, however. Elope going to be the next one to go into that. Can Bear turn at least one kill out? It doesn't look like it. The passive from Zach will get popped, but everyone's still alive. And oh no, a game that was completely in Unlucky Ascension's favor is starting to fall apart a bit.
Yeah, this tempo disadvantage just feels even worse when you realize the scaling again that GSM have with the Cho'Gath and the Kog'Maw. And that 2v2, it was 2v3 almost, with Otaku coming in. That was his first Pantheon ult of the game. He gets nothing for it except a death, and they're not really able to do anything.
Nice ultimate from Leona. Will chain CC. Nice follow-up with the trap. A very clean kill onto Inox in the mid lane, who had just used his dash, I believe, on some wave clear.
Yeah, and that might be just the momentum that Unlucky Ascension need. They get a kill back, they get to calm down a little bit after taking down Inox. They can grab some damage in this mid lane turret, maybe make that their priority to bust open with Shelly.
Zach gonna jump in, gets the knockup onto just Leona. He's gonna run away, takes a little bit of damage for it.
Yeah, but look at this siege now that they've got set up with Caitlyn, Leona, and Elise. You can drop Shelly down. This should be the mid lane turret from the Ascension, and that could open up the jungle and ultimately get that mid game that we've been hoping to see from Unlucky Ascension.
All right, Herald will help them secure that tower. They're gonna back away. Next dragon on the table is 4 minutes away and is yet another Ocean Drake.
Yeah, so not the biggest prize to fight over at 21 minutes, but we'll see which team can grab that and at least grab a stack toward an eventual Elder buff, potentially. Vici actually goes for the Righteous Glory first. That was
The Kog'Maw range. Using that Caustic Spittle, launching. Or Caustic Spittle might be the Q? Oh my gosh. All his abilities sound like they could be for any of his... Or all the names sound like they could be for any of the abilities.
Oh, by Arcane Barrage is W.
Is the W. Living Artillery is the ultimate. Caustic Spittle's the Q. Void Ooze is the gross champion. Can't convince me otherwise.
He just spits on things.
He spits on things. So gross. General Vici here in the bot lane has a tower, does not currently have vision. He is pinging. He did ping it though. So I do believe he knows that Sacred Strike is nearby. He will not be pushing out.
Yeah, now it's the rotation back to normal lanes for Unlucky Ascension. They're gonna throw Caitlyn and Leona bottom and maybe try to grab this turret as well. And I mean, they have to. There's no other turret for them to grab right now, so.
Yeah, the last outer turret available to them. Currently up a tower. Currently up a little bit of gold. About 2,000 gold, in fact. But they lost some recent skirmishes to GSM, so their confidence is probably shaken a little bit. GSM, once again, playing a high-scaling comp. UA needs to make some things happen during these windows before they hit their power spikes.
Yeah, and Kog'Maw and Lulu mid lane means that if you sacrifice too many resources to try to get this bottom lane turret, that you're going to pay for it pretty hard in mid lane.
Strike. Could be. No, he's going to back away early. Not in trouble.
Yeah, GSM trying maybe to collapse up around the top side. Nothing happening there. Yeah,
Teams doing their best to be mid laners now. Holding the mid wave, looking for roams. Trying to put kills on the Kog'Maw.
Kind of worried. Otaku seems like he's fallen a little bit behind on where he needs to be. Doesn't have a completed item yet. Doesn't have enough money in the bank right now to get it either. His one Pantheon ultimate didn't secure a whole lot, and I just kind of worry with the priority on that Pantheon pick that you're not getting that return that you need to from it.
LeBlanc is here in the bot lane. Tiansama, Bear, and Decay are here. We're going to put that one down as well, and that's going to be their third turn of the game. However, Kog'Maw and Lulu are here in the mid lane, trying to press for this tower. I feel like while we did see Sacred Strike do so well in the early game and in laning phase, we haven't seen him be very effective at all with his ultimate for roaming.
Yeah, a lot of that has been...
And he might just die here. He is going to just die here. GRLCS going to get him with the feast, and his third death of the game will look very similar to his second, in that he just takes weird pathing and gets caught for it.
Yeah, and a lot of this just goes down to the vision control and the intelligence of GSM. They're able to know that Nocturne's not top lane anymore. He's probably trying to roam mid, and they just find him in the jungle for another pick.
Yeah, but why walk that way? That's such an aggressive path for a champion that can only flash away. Seems strange, but that's the second time he does that this game, and it's not working out well for him, so maybe he will correct that as we see the rest of this game come on. All right, Baron is on the table. We are after 20 minutes. The next dragon has spawned as well. Yet another Ocean Drake. Not super high priority for these teams, but, you know, no reason to turn down the free buff and a better Elder Dragon.
Yeah, Tiansama got chunked there by Inox, and that might set up a mid lane push for GSM in exchange for this Ocean Dragon.
Yeah, Elise and Pantheon, they sneak their way into that pit. The enemy does not have vision. They grab that dragon. Not for nothing. There is a positioning advantage on Baron on the side of GSM right now and on the mid tower because of that. So they might be able to turn that dragon into a tower. Caitlyn Trap's coming out, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to stop this, especially not after that Demolish proc. That's going to be the second turn of the game going over to GSM.
Yeah, and we've been waiting to see that big Pantheon and Nocturne ult combo from like cross map, flanking, what have you. And we just haven't seen that. We've seen the Pantheon ult used once. We've seen Nocturne ult used in another lane. Never? Just use the top lane to get kills. So
yeah, why is he not ulting other places? Like, I was really hyped to see him running around the map, ulting people, making hard to counteract, you know, picks happen with that Nocturne ult. The whole point of Nocturne. And I feel like he hasn't even used his ultimate that much.
Yeah, and it feels like he was using it to punish General Vici, but now Vici's scaled up to a point where he can at least live through the burst combo, through the auto attacks from Sacred Strike. So now that at least that particular lane pressure is gone, and I think you need to flip Sacred Strike and try to find him in lane matchups, maybe against Inox, and see if he can blow up that LeBlanc. But yeah, it feels like they're both not pulling the trigger on anything and also not putting their champions in the best position to make those plays right now. Yeah. And as a result, we're seeing GSM scale into the game that they were pretty far behind it.
Yeah. You've got Elise, Caitlyn, Leona, and 2 champions with semi-globals. That sounds like a pit comp, and it really hasn't seemed like UA has gone for any substantial picks. Maybe they will here. DCDK throws down the ultimate, chaining the CC onto Rito Torch. He takes a lot of damage, gonna get healed for by the Zac. Flash away from the Kog'Maw. Elo will eventually go down. Yeetloaf going to try to respawn. Vici going to flash in and ult onto DCDK. Here's that ultimate going on. No more cooldowns for Kog'Maw. They will get the kill. He's now trying to press for damage. He will pop out of that Zanya's and immediately go down. Ultimate, the clone is used to block the ultimate from Caitlyn. You can control where that moves, and he moved it right into the line of fire of the Caitlyn ult. I don't think the ultimate would have killed him anyway, but it would have made it much more likely that he was going to go down. So really nice play from Inox there, using that LeBlanc clone for something practical.
Yeah, that was actually a really nice little bit of micro from Inox. I think it did save his life. He was healing up a little bit, but it wasn't quick enough. But that it does potentially open the Baron up for Unlucky Ascension. Although GSM right on the doorstep.
Yeah, right on the doorstep. Here comes the teleport, trying to trade in some damage. Bear getting really low. Bear's incredibly low. This feels like something that happened last game. Bear is very low. He's trying to press for the tower. Nice CC onto Elof. Elof gonna jump in. Who's gonna get it? Blue team will be the ones to get it. Elof is now in the pit alone. He does not have his passive available, and he will go down. Sacred Strike on the backside trying to distract. He will be going down as well. Ends up being a 1-for-1, but Baron goes over to Unlucky Ascension.
Yeah, and you'll take that trade if you're Unlucky Ascension. Now they need to really push with this Baron buff once they get Sacred Strike back and not lose too much before that, because this is just a death squad roaming down from GSM.
Yeah, and it looks like it went 1-for-1 in kills. They got the Baron buff, but they are very likely going to lose this mid lane tower as well. Can they turn this into an engage, perhaps? They do have the ultimate from Otaku available, but it doesn't look like they are going to go for it. They're going to let that turret go. They're going to wait for Sacred Strike to pop back up. That ultimate's on such a short cooldown. He after that fight in that death timer, it's already back up. And they burned so many of Rito Torchic's cooldowns and Hamana's cooldowns when they went for that dive. They burned the flash, they burned the heal, they burned the ultimate from Lulu. That when Sacred Strike decided to press R on Rito Torchic, there wasn't anything else he could do to stay alive.
Yeah, but now is the big moment for UA. If they can't at least crack inhibitor, I think, with this push, they're going to be in a pretty bad position scaling up against this Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw's got his Runaan's Hurricane now. LeBlanc will be on 2 or 3 items. That'll be just a really scary amount of damage that they'll have to try to dive into, and I don't know that their champions can do that unless they get a pretty big influx of gold right now.
Alright, Dragon is about to spawn. Finally, something that is not Ocean. This one's going to be a Mountain Drake. And it looks like Unlucky Ascension has better positioning on it at the moment, and they are definitely trying to look for picks. Leona standing in very aggressive positions, clearing vision, setting vision out in the place that they want to pick. It does not look like this Mountain Drake's going to be contested. GSM not eager to run into another situation like they did near the Baron.
Yeah, really heads up play by GSM, just not to buy into that pick. We see too many teams make that mistake, and this Baron's ultimately just being stalled out, and that's really going to favor GSM the longer that this game state continues.
I know, and they honestly have, like, just on the back of Caitlyn and Tian Sama's ability to kite alone, they have decent siege. Caitlyn traps getting thrown down. If you jump in to try to engage, you'll immediately get dove on. Sacred Strike can throw it down. That ultimate, making even a simple team fight tough, because if somebody leaves your vision, they're, invisible to you. Eatloaf going to be jumping in. He's going for the engage here. They're going for Hamana, actually, and they blow up Hamana. Here comes the ultimate from Pantheon as well to try to help disengage the fight. He's actually going to get the kill onto Kog'Maw. Here comes the ultimate from Sacred Strike. He goes in. He will deal some damage to the Zac, but he's going to have to run away. Eatloaf still okay. DCDK taking away. Will the Ignite get the kill? It will. He goes down to that Ignite. Otaku very low. They get the turret. They get 2 kills. They lose 1 member in return, and they are very low on health. They are going to have to back away.
It was a nice play. That's what we wanted to see. We had Pantheon and Nocturne set up in side lanes. They're able to both collapse at different times. They're able to blow up the Kog'Maw and Lulu. That looks great. They stay just a little bit too aggressively, and Inox is able to probe at those edges, find a kill onto DCDK, and help turn back that push. So they only get the inner turret in mid lane, and they extend their gold lead by about 500 as a result of that, and I don't know that that's enough.
Yeah, one more tower and one kill over your opponent. Not the best Baron power play. All right, objectives
Grabbing
are
that
going to
Mountain
be...
Dragon does help, so
Yeah.
they can potentially look at the second Baron, they can look at an Elder Dragon. Like it's not over, but the longer this goes on, the more over it becomes, I guess is a better way to say it.
yeah, Kog'Maw currently has red buff, has Gwynsu's and Bork, and has the Runans Hurricane. I'm an Oklahoman. Runans has the Runans Hurricane, and just bought a QSS as well. Those on-hits are going to be deadly, dealing his own on-hit damage, dealing that Bork on-hit damage, and dealing spreading red buff to a lot of people as well. I actually don't know if red buff is per basic attack or per on-hit, but if it is on-hit, that's highly effective.
Yeah, it is per on-hit.
Per on-hit, okay. So
disgusting.
that is going to be a nasty Kog'Maw come the next team fight. Sacred Strike currently split pushing in the bot lane. He might just get this tower before Vici gets there to really defend it. Zach gets spotted on a ward. Sacred Strike will get the turret and will speed away. Gets a free turret down there, draws Vici that direction. We see Unlucky Ascension once again looking for picks. DCDK standing in a pink warded bush. Bear is on the backside. Can they make something happen here? That's Evo. Do they want this? They deal a chunk of damage to him and immediately back away. Sacred Strike going for the 1v1 against Vici. And he's dealing so much damage. He has the Bork, he has the Black Cleaver. He has gone a very split push focused build. Hamana will show up. Vici will retreat under the tower. But it is clear that Sacred Strike will win the 1v1 against Vici right now.
Yeah, I don't think they can go for the pick with just Elise and Fiona against Zach, but I like the idea behind it, and I think that that's the most important thing that happened there was Sacred Strike forcing Hamana to come down and basically protect General Vici. It really shows that he's got that advantage in this 1v1 right
He
now.
definitely itemized for it too. He's got Black Cleaver, he's got Blade of the Ruined King to shred that HP. He also even has a Last Whisper. So he's gone completely anti-armor to try to continue to split push against this Cho'Gath. Vici, though, getting a lot of health back from minions. He's close to his own base. He can just back and reset. So unless Sacred Strike can get Vici in a situation where he can get the kill, he's not going to be able to do much anything that's super effective here in the bottom.
Yeah, now Baron is spawned. You've got another Mountain Dragon coming up in 15 seconds, and this could be the big decision right now. Is do you tunnel really hard on this Baron?
Or Zach looking for a pick. He has Inox. He will land onto Bear. Can they turn this into something? CCing Bear. DCDK gonna have to flash out. Here comes Righteous Glory. Pantheon ulting in. He's going for the kill onto Eatloaf. Eatloaf gets a lot of defensive cooldowns, and Inox pops Pantheon. They've lost a member. They're unable to get anybody in exchange. Sacred Strike does not ult in. Whoa! Wait a minute. A headshot crit and red buff will be enough to pick up Inox. It actually ends up being a 1-for-1. Nice from Tien Sama. Not so nice from Inox.
Yeah, Otaku not able to use his E, so he goes in and just basically dies, gets up by the CC from GSM.
Sacred Strike's going to be soloing Dragon. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say, yeah, it's going to open up the Dragon for UA at least, get another objective off the map. But again, it shows that you can't just force onto the Kog'Maw, basically. They're not able to completely destroy that health bar, and it's going to just get harder and harder.
Alright, so ends up being a 1-for-1 and Dragon, so does end up favoring Unlucky Ascension in that trade, and we now see General Vici without teleport. No, he does have teleport. He ran there, my bad. He does have the teleport, but so does Sacred Strike. Sacred Strike also has that ultimate. If Sacred Strike can find a moment to move towards Baron while Vici is pushing a wave, he could very well ult and make a fight a 4v5 if General Vici isn't I say premature, but if he doesn't like see that's about to happen and start teleporting as the ultimate's like coming out, that could be an effective way to force a 5v4 in Unlucky Ascension's favor.
Yeah, I still think it's kind of interesting. We haven't seen the Pantheon and Nocturnal ever be used at the same time. They use them one after the other, which is, I don't know if that's more ideal if you just try to get out cooldowns with one of them and then burst with the second, or exactly what their thinking is, but we saw both of them kind of line up in a position to ult, and the Nocturne just never came in. It was just the Pantheon that dove into that last fight.
Bear gonna clear away this pink ward. You see Inox, Kog'Maw, and Lulu pinging him out, trying to move towards him perhaps. That ward goes down right by Lulu, so gonna finish backing. Rito Torchic once again picking up a red buff, which, like we mentioned before, is extra scary for him to have.
Yeah, GSM getting the vision control that they need around this Baron. They're not pushing in aggressively to get that deep vision, but they're getting enough that they know if they're being baited, if they are about to be picked, or if that Baron's been started. And it's just enough that we haven't seen that big force or the big face check that we've needed to see.
Vici is down here once again in a 1v1 with Sacred Strike. Both of them have their teleports available. Sacred Strike level 17, getting aggressive onto Vici here. That's a lot of damage, immediately chunking him to half health. He gets silenced, is unable to spell shield, going to juke away from the rupture. Goodness gracious, Sacred Strike wants to force this tower down, and he's gonna get it. He forces the tower down. Lulu has moved to try to help out with this situation, but also can't give away the Baron. General Vici at a disadvantage in this 1v1, and it's causing his team some problems. Unlucky Ascension, though, needs to get their stuff together to capitalize on it. We see that he's now alone with the inhibitor. This is a 4v4. Inox is channeling the back. He's not going to do it. Sacred Strike is going to get this inhibitor for free. They need to pull the trigger, and they do. He goes in. He starts ulting. He's starting to put down the CC. He gets the kill onto TM Sama. Otaku getting low as well. He will go down. They do get the kill, however, onto Inox. Otaku will be going down next. Here comes Sacred Strike and General Vici. Sacred Strike, though, is not able to get Hamana, and he will go down. This could be the Baron buff. DCDK and Bear are the only ones left alive, and Vici is now chasing him down. They got the inhibitor, but they lost the 4v4. When those split pushers showed up, clearly General Vici was the one that was more effective in the team fight, which makes sense given the build and the champion. DCDK going to back and get out of here, and that will be an inhibitor and a bunch of kills for Bear.
So Inox basically just suicided in, but he chunked 3 people so hard at the start of that fight, and the rest of it was basically Rito Torchic untouched, just able to spittle his way through the enemy team. It was a really nicely played fight, and even though Inox goes down, he did his job before he ultimately fell. And now he picks up a stopwatch, so if he does that again, he'll be able to stopwatch and maybe get a second rotation through everybody. And that was the team fight that GSM needed. Now they have Baron. They potentially can grab map control now. They're almost back even in gold. And GSM feels like they've finally hit the spike that we've been waiting for.
Finally hitting the spike that they've been waiting for. Can they make something happen? They did lose the inhibitor in the bot side, and Sacred Strike immediately moving up to the top side of the map to try to continue split pushing. Vici without teleport this time, although I have to say that 4v4 did not look like it favored Unlucky Ascension. He's channeling, yeah. Meatloaf starting to play a little aggressively, starting to try to look for picks of his own. Inox going to clear away that blast cone, try to prevent any sort of Elder Dragon steal. They really don't want Unlucky Ascension to get this Elder Drake, being that they have 4 dragons this game. That would be a lot of true damage.
Yeah, I still don't like this. You have Baron buff. You have just won a big team fight. Go put some pressure down. Like, your Baron buff doesn't help you while you're trying to do this.
Taku's gonna flash away, getting engaged on by Inox here. Can they make something happen? The ultimate from Leona will come out late. It will not be quick enough to stun the LeBlanc there. Sacred Strike against this Baron buff, his push will be slowed down. That will help General Vici stall him out longer. I think it's clear at this point he can't 1v1 Sacred Strike given his champion and build. but he can stall him enough. They're paying the crap out of him. They know that he's coming down here to try to contest this. Bear is about to go in to try to get the steal. Is he going to be able to get it? Red team does slay the Elder Drake. They have that buff. Here's the Zhonya's. The ultimate from Nocturne gets activated, but does not get used. Pantheon comes in. He's on the backside of the fight. He has to run away. Inox is chasing him down. Rito Torchic is going to get the kill onto Bear. Vici will use the ultimate onto Leona and pick up that kill. Inox picks up Otaku, and it looks like this game is just going to end in GSM's favor. UA just so reluctant to pull the trigger in unison. Otaku's ultimates are never followed up by Sacred Strike, or they're just not lined up very well. We never see them jump in together onto the same target. DC Decay's ultimate in that final fight got blown trying to land a stun onto Inox, but he hesitated too long or wasn't in range quickly enough, and he was unable to land that, only landing it onto Yeetloaf, who is way too tanky to pick, and that might just be the game.
Yeah, with threatening, I don't know that Tien Sama can hold up, although he's doing a million damage right now.
Flashes onto Tien Sama for the CC. Tien Sama flashes away. Can they get the kill? They knock him into passive, but while they're fighting, the rest of the team is hitting the Nexus. That's going to be the game at 39 minutes. A game that was in favor of Unlucky Ascension for quite a long time, but the late game scaling of Zac, of Cho'Gath, of Kog'Maw, really comes into play at the end there, and they're just unable to hold on to their lead any longer. So that's going to be the game and the series for GSM. They'll be moving on to the finals tomorrow.
Yeah, and a big congratulations to them. They played their team comps the way that they needed to be played. They were patient. They didn't overextend into places that they didn't need to, and they let their scalies scale up, I guess.
Yeah. Sacred Strike, and I also feel like that was, for a while there, definitely Unlucky Ascension's game to win, but they just didn't find enough picks. It felt like they weren't just quite coordinated enough with those semi-global ultimates to really make use of their champions.
Yeah, and just the little bits of hesitation, the little bits of not being able to find those picks that they needed to, whether that's UA misplaying or if it was GSM just playing really well defensively. I'm not really sure, not being in the game, not really feeling it.
Yeah.
Also being a silver analyst in the Diamond game. But yeah, it felt like UA wasn't playing to their win condition properly, and GSM was. And Torchic does want to say he was 20 CS up on a Caitlyn lane, which is correct. He definitely was doing that in lane. But there were other opportunities with the solo lanes for UA that it felt like they should have taken better advantage of.
Yeah, when Sacred Strike got ahead as he did, rather than using his ultimate to roam to picks and force fights that they would probably win given his lead, instead he took weird paths and got picked a couple times. Just not being nearly as helpful. That ultimate wasn't even on that long of a cooldown. It prevents the enemy team from knowing, being able to react quickly to a fight, from being able to see the minimap, from being able to teleport. It's so good for forcing fights and finding picks, and it never really felt like they used it for that. They instead put Sacred Strike in the side lane, just continuously split pushing, slowly getting little advantages, but I really think that it could have been much better had they been playing more widely across the map and using Otaku and Sacred Strike's ultimates to their full effect by spreading GSM out and then, crushing them with those semi-globals and their chain single target CC. So I don't think they played to their win condition as they could have. GSM was able to play defensively and stall for some of those late game champions to come into effect. Even, if they were doing well in lane on the late game champions, they were definitely behind in gold and in some of those fights in the mid game. But UA just never capitalized. They, hit their power spikes. They knew what they drafted. They knew when their power spike was, and then they started pressing for the win as soon as they hit it.
Yeah, so again, congratulations to GSM. They're going to take on the winner of the Poo Poo Crew and Saucy Summoners later today. And we'll have that one at 4 p.m. and then 4 p.m. on Sunday will be the Diamond Final as well. if you're only following that vein. Coming up next on this channel is going to be the other Platinum semifinal between Return of the Middlesticks and Crimson KC. And right now on Get Wrecked 2, if you tune in, would be Game 2 between Sensei Squad and Resonant Nostalgia, where currently Resonant Nostalgia is up about 4,000 gold and looking to get their first win of that series as well.
All right. Well, lots of stuff to watch today. Definitely go tune in to Get Wrecked 2. And we'll see you guys on that stream or at 1 p.m. for some more semifinal matches. That's it for us. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye.